Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we exit the executive session.
Have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right. Braden,
I'll take care of it if you want.
okay?
Last week, Braden and I had the opportunity to go visit with Portneuf Hospital in regards to being able to use their forensics lab,
There he is.
their morgue, to help us get going with the forensic pathology lab. And they were very amenable to that discussion. And so one of the things that we then began discussing is how quickly can we get it up and going, and we need somebody with a little more expertise than us to help us get there as we navigate and Jason, you've been on the call with the design consultant, and that is scary because that is a very big project and very complex. And so as Braden and I talked about it, we began looking for a potential consultant to help us navigate this and get it open, especially if we can use it with Portneuf. And we came to the realization that Dottie Owens, the Ada County coroner, had lost her race and would be available to come down. And so we reached out to her to see if that would be something that she would be interested in, and she expressed interest in it. And so as I sat down with Christy and went over the budget, we have room to hire a consultant for a few months to try and get a pathologist hired, some other groundwork put in place so we can start operating the facility hopefully by March 1st would be the goal. And Dottie was comfortable with that. And so in talking with Christy, we came up with a potential consultant amount of $4,500 a month and put it on like a 6-month contract.
So would she be an employee or just as a contract?
She would be a contractor for the 6 months, and then part of the structure is we will need a facility manager, we will need the pathologist, we will need a forensic tech, and an admin person. And so part of that consultant role will be helping develop the job descriptions for all of those positions. And so, you know, when the time comes to hire a facility manager, she may or may not apply for that, but the goal is to help do the heavy lifting to get us to that point in time. So I'm before the board today to ask permission to move forward and offer Dottie a contract to come starting in January when she's completed her duties up in Ada County, to come and help us see if we can get this thing up and running by March.
And just one thing to add to that too, letting whoever that person is seek whatever grants and then sharing them with the grant team.
Yeah, there's been a couple that Dottie has brought to us that we can go after, kind of like Jason was talking about, for computer equipment and software that would help get things moving. So that's the discussion before the board today.
Well, all I can say is, we talked about the different properties at ISU. We had one we thought we was working towards, and when she come down just to talk to us, she says, this won't work, this won't work, this won't work. And then, you know, so I'm tired of, we need an expert. And she just went through this in Ada County. I'm ready to move forward with this project at a little quicker rate than what we have been doing. That's my feelings. And if you've identified some funds to make available.
What funds are they?
We've got a budget already set.
Right.
So we had originally planned to move $2 million of ARPA funds into the forensic pathology department. We have a budget set, we just don't have the cash or the revenue. So if this is approved, I could do a check request, and then we can have you sign it either on Thursday or next week. And then we'll deposit the money in here.
Okay.
We might need to do some moving and shifting to what we already have, but this is what's entered, is what's in your budget book.
Okay.
And then Brian and I can get together on, we think this might fall under the other health services category, but I don't know that we ever came to a final agreement on that. So.
We have.
Give me the justification, give me the expenditure control number, and
We-
I'll report it.
We have. That's what I'm willing to move forward on. But for a contract and stuff, and we'll need to work through you and make sure that we cross our Ts, dot our Is, and make sure.
I think
An offer.
Braden started working on some of that yesterday, I believe.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So the goal would be to have a contract ready here within the next week, so.
Yeah, we just have to have the specific, she's gonna be a consultant, right? And so just the specifics on what she's gonna be consulting on, pay such as, do you want it like a monthly, just a flat fee, or hourly at a rate, or everything of that nature? So, but we can discuss that after. I just wanted to.
Okay.
Then I'll get with you, Brian, and let you see the contract that I have ready so far. I'm sure I'll have you look at it and add whatever you need in there.
If she's gonna be doing grants and things, has somebody given her our grant manual that we just approved, so we make
We
sure
didn't
that
give her
we're
the
following our
manual, we gave her the
process?
form.
Yeah, she's got the
Just
form,
make
but
sure
we
she
can-
knows our
We'll ship
process.
everything out and make sure that we're in contact with our grantee. So,
And the grant that she's talking about now, I think is a $20,000 grant that is due by Friday this week.
yeah, I know the due date is Friday. I haven't seen any specifics on the actual grant, though. I'm not positive the dollar amount, but.
I thought she told me it was about 20,000, and we've given her the grant, the one-page grant form, and we've been writing her to try to get a copy of that.
Normal practice is the departments come before the board to request pursuing a grant before they do the application. With the due date of Friday, we at least probably need to see the grant
Okay.
before you sign off on the application, because we need to make sure there's no matches, there's no,
You gotta answer the questions.
Right.
yeah.
Still should be approved by the board to apply.
You have looked at it or not?
Just what you pre-sent us, not her proposal for what's being applied for and
Okay.
everything, so.
Okay.
Well,
But I've reached out and I'm trying to get that, so as soon as
first
I
of
get
all,
it, you
we
guys will
we
have
gotta
it.
make an offer, and, I mean, there's,
Right.
that's the beginning point. And then, like I say, you two have been working with her. If the grant meets the criteria, like I said, I don't know what the criterias are and stuff like that, but
We should have,
I've signed a lot of things that we ratify a little bit later.
let's see if we can get that by Thursday, for Thursday's meeting to look at.
That's all I'm saying.
Go from there.
But I'm ready to move forward, so.
So, Mr. Chair, then I would make a motion that we offer a 6-month contract to Dottie Owens to come be our consultant for the forensic pathology program, and authorize her to pursue grants pending our approval process.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, Anita.
Get out of this. Okay. I'm Anita Hymas, assessor-elect, and we are over here about a particular parcel, and I'm going to just kind of give you a little bit of background to remind you that in BOE this year we had a unique situation. We had, at the very end of BOE, we determined that we had 10 parcels that needed a raise in value. So we went through the State Tax Commission and we were granted permission through the Board of Equalization to not only change that value, send corrective notices and extend Board of Equalization, which we did. And during that Board of Equalization, when the appeals were made, there was one parcel that was not reduced during that Board of Equalization. And so we've done a couple of things. I asked Jason, our commercial appraiser, to look into some values, what it would have looked like had we reduced that. So he's got those figures. This particular parcel is in a urban renewal or TIF district. And that's why I've kind of asked Christy Causer to kind of come today too with us so that she could explain what an impact it will make, because that's the district it's going to impact. It's not going to impact the other districts. It's going to impact the URA, and she can explain that better than I can. So that's where we're at with this. And you can, yeah, either one of them can answer your questions as far as values. And
Okay. The question is, what are you asking us to do at this time? That's the first question that I would ask. I mean, these other things will play parts in that, but what is your request from us this day?
I'm asking you, I guess, to reduce that value so that this particular taxpayer isn't singled out as to not being reduced like the others, because there were 10 parcels and his was not reduced.
But he's the only one that didn't show up for BOE, right?
But he was notified
He was notified.
and had the opportunity. And so I guess my other question, what, is this a BOE question to adjust the values now and not a Board of Commissioners?
You can't do
Can't do
a
it.
BOE change.
And that's why I'm asking, where does this fit in?
Right, so I mean, we're past the appeal deadlines. I mean, there's other things that the taxpayer can do. They can come before the commissioners to ask for tax relief. For example, if it's an undue hardship. Also, I mean, in Idaho code, you're looking at the BOE. I mean, the job of the BOE is just to make sure everything is assessed accurately. So if there is a complaint that's filed with the board, there could be an argument that they could come in as a BOE to say, hey, this is not assessed correctly. But that burden would be on the taxpayer to figure out. So, because ultimately we want to make sure that the assessments are accurate. That's the biggest thing. But to this point, deadlines have been missed. He has notified, he had an opportunity to appeal, chose not to do so. So it really should be the taxpayer making an effort to get on the agenda to come talk to the commission about this. To make sure they're putting their case before you, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's what I want, is
Yeah.
what is the proper channels to go through to take care of the concerns?
And I had been in touch with Brian yesterday also on this, so, yeah.
So,
Mr. Chair, can I ask one question?
yes.
Do you feel the property was not assessed correctly? I know that's a loaded question here, but because if you feel that way, I mean, then I mean, I would be like, it's up to the BOE to make sure that we have the accurate assessment. But
Yeah, I think I can answer that.
Okay.
So the value change that was made was a directive by the Board of Equalization at the time, and I do feel that our office followed that directive the way that it was laid out.
okay.
And then when it came time for the 10 parcels that were impacted, during that kind of extended BOE hearing, 9 of the 10 parcels were adjusted. This is the 10th parcel that did not get adjusted, so.
But those were for people that appealed, right? That showed up and got that?
I believe so.
So do you feel it was, I guess,
I think that, I'll answer that. I think it's something that we as a BOE, we initiated the original, bringing the property values up. The 10 were brought in, and those others come and appealed. So at that time, when the others appealed, we should have looked at all 10 parcels and treated them all the same. That's what I'd say. I'd say that we as a BOE, we evaluated 9 of them. The 10th one wasn't included in it, which because we initiated the initial questions, we probably should have talked about all 10 properties in BOE.
Because we did make the lump adjustment on all 10 at one time. And we did not make the adjustment on all 10 going the other direction per that.
I'd say since there hasn't been a formal complaint lodged with the board or anything on the agenda to come forward to change the tax amount, that there would be nothing legally for the board to do at this point in time.
So
If that
then,
makes sense.
so then the option is a potential
letter of cancellation? Is that what you're talking?
Yeah, because if they wanted to do, for example, a tax cancellation to undue hardship, I mean, there's things they need to file with the board beforehand, so they could have that information to review it.
The owner.
The owner.
Yeah.
What's the amount of money that we're talking about? Between the other 10 parcels, or the other 9 parcels in this particular one?
Value-wise,
Yeah, if we were to adjust it down so they were all the same,
what would that be?
If we were to, as you said, treat this one identically to how the others were treated, we would be looking at a difference in value of, give me just a moment. The difference in value would be $7,166,490. And that would, removing that amount of assessed value, would bring this parcel into the exact same valuation per square foot that the other 9 parcels were brought down to.
okay, so then from a tax amount, what does that equate to? Do we know what that number might be?
I didn't have that value, I could have had that calculated, sorry.
What's the value? 7 million?
7 million in
Yes.
code area 01.
Yes.
I can pull it right here. Jen, were you gonna go to your office?
I was gonna call him.
Oh, okay,
I'll just call him.
okay.
Is it 7 million exactly?
No.
It's,
Yeah, but
Close enough.
okay.
If Jen agrees with that, sorry.
And then, Christie, would you tell me what impact that would have on the URA up there, or how that works?
So what happens is, because we base the levy with that $7 million in there, whatever the tax dollar amount is, the levy is now wrong, and Urbans won't receive the money they anticipated.
Okay, who all does that urban renewal area impact, or?
It's the urban district. So normally, if it was code area 1, say this wasn't an urban district, then it would affect the taxing districts within code area 1, which is Pokey, School District 25, Bannock County.
thank you.
But this will impact School 25, because School 25 always gets the money from Urbans, and then it'll impact the actual PDA. So they won't receive, how much?
85,000.
85,000 they anticipated.
And is that the new?
It's the Northgate one, one of the new ones, one of the 3, right?
So that 85 then gets broken up between the various entities within that urban renewal district. It's not,
Just the
So-
TIF and the school.
Yeah, just the school and the TIF.
yeah.
So
or the
say
PDA.
$85,000,
So it'd be-
whatever the school
It'd
district
be like
portion is,
40,000 each, just as an arbitrary number.
potentially, yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Well, it looks to me like the landowner needs to come and have a conversation with us. Per council, which we appreciate.
That and the DOE is already completed.
So then, just so I'm understanding clearly, if the landowner comes before us and requests a tax cancellation or something like that, that would be the discussion that we would have?
That's the point we're at now.
It'd be a hardship.
Yeah, under the hardship statute.
Okay.
So would we be the ones to do that, to ask him to come before the commission, or how should we approach that?
That is up to the taxpayer, if they want to do that.
If you've had conversation with him, and you can tell him what the decision was made here,
Okay.
and let him know what his options are.
Okay.
We have tax bills due. Does this have a time deadline on it, time consequences?
No.
He already paid them. He already paid them, because he told me he
I
was
don't
gonna
know.
pay them.
Yeah, if he's already paid it, that's fine. We would just have to when we do the cancellation, most likely refund him. Or if he hasn't paid it and the cancellation gets done, then he would just have to pay a late fee on whatever the balance due was that missed the December 20th deadline. So, I mean, we have lots of that happens because of the homeowner's exemption now. I mean, there's gonna be people that have the same issue after December 20th if they come in and sign up for their homeowner's exemption. So, I mean, it does happen. On his dollar amount, his late fee might be a little bit steep, but I'll check, I'll look to see if he's paid. There is a chance that maybe he already has.
Because he had mentioned that he was planning to.
He told us 2 Fridays ago that he was going to pay all of it except for 2 of the parcels in question. This was one of them.
Okay.
So tell me, what's the difference in this, Brian, and then all these other cancellations that had mistakes or problems? And this is everything else that,
To me, the difference is, and I'll let Brian answer that too, but to me, the difference is that most of those on there were our error. They were left off homeowners, or like Jennifer said, they were due to that House Bill 389. And so, and if it's an actual error on our part, we can cancel taxes. And so that's where we're at with that. So
But
So
you had a
that-
chance for appealing it, didn't
Right,
you?
that's why I was asking if it was, and the statute just says it properly, I know you guys all do a wonderful job, that's why, but when I use that language, if it was an error on our part, that's why I said the analysis would be a little bit different, but.
okay, and that's, thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
All right, look like he has the opportunity to come and talk to us.
And honestly, even if he does that, it's not gonna give him enough time to get it paid on time anyway. If the decision's made at some point, with scheduling, it's not gonna happen. It's Tuesday, right? Next Tuesday is the 20th? Unless it was signed that day, I guess. But
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Did you want to do Nancy? The RTP grant?
Yeah. Did I skip her? I did. I'm sorry. We talked to Nancy.
Yeah, Paul and Dan is here. We just wanted to do a follow-up and check on the right-of-way, if there were any right-of-ways on the proposed site for the trail, and have a final decision on its location so that Dan can get the engineering.
All right, Hal?
Hal Jensen, Planning Director. In my research, I did not find any absolute dedicated rights-of-way. However, it should be noted that it would be my recommendation, based upon conversations, as well as knowing some, I would call them plat issues. Fairway Drive was originally intended to go all the way through. I haven't been able, nor has the city of Pocatello been able to find anything absolute. It does go down to Fairgrounds Road until it intersects Fairgrounds Road, and then Fairgrounds turns and goes north. Fairway is intimated, but not absolute, to extend all the way to the west.
So
So-
potentially to the freeway?
Potentially, yes, for future development of Fairgrounds Road from Venture Way, coming straight through, as opposed to looping up and around and in and through and in and out and back and forth through Fairgrounds. Anyway, long story short, it would be my recommendation that if you choose to go that route, that the walk path would be placed, shall we call it, to the north, and leave the potential of a right-of-way for the extension of Fairway. Other than that, there's nothing that's absolute, okay?
Okay?
And when we were up there on our walking tour, did we talk about that? Does that still leave enough room for the cattle corrals and all that kind of stuff?
It potentially, yes, it does. It would take some coordination between the city for right-of-way, the county, as well as complex management, but there's plenty of room to accommodate all of that.
Okay. Pave the road, and so we don't have to pull it up and redo it again. Well, after our walk up there, I like that path. It makes a lot more sense than the original intent to go down and then up. So I'm in favor of, because we're just pursuing a grant at this time to see if we can get that portion of the trail, correct?
Yeah, Stan Harrelson with the Portneuf Greenway. Yes, we're just trying to apply for a grant, but I do have an engineer under contract that's going to be, so we're going to be expending some funds designing it and plan to get that kicked off right after the first of the year.
Okay.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
Go right up there where we walked and
Yeah.
connect.
So, do we need a motion on this?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
So, Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we authorize placing the path as indicated by staff to the north of the potential Fairway Road easement. Is that the correct terminology? And authorize submission of the grant.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Good luck. Thanks.
Sorry about that, Nancy.
Well, it actually worked. Stan wasn't quite here yet when we first started, so worked out okay.
All right.
Dan, excuse me.
No, I'll just call him Stan too. And then,
Resolutions. So resolution number 2022-93, authorization to dispose of surplus property. Resolution number 2022-94, approving November 2022 salaries. And resolution number 2022-95, approving November 2022 alcohol licenses.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve resolutions 2022-93, -94, and -95 as presented.
Have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. You wanna wait and see if he comes back in, or you want to sign him? Okay. So, letters and signatures only. We have Pocatello Chubbuck School District number 25, licensing application and agreement, and ballot on demand system, processing and service agreement. I guess. Don't know anything about them, except what's here.
The ballot on demand stuff, those are just more paperwork that, we've already got the machines, just more paperwork that they're wanting for some reason. That's my understanding.
And then the other one's just allowing us to help hold the elections in the schools, right? Yeah, okay. Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the agreement with the school district as presented and authorize signature on the ballot system as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We also have letters of cancellation. Talk about briefly.
It would be great if they would change that legislation on those homeowners exemption. That, Anita and I were talking about that yesterday, and the numbers that we cancel, usually we're okay if we have enough new construction and occupancy put on the sub-roll. But if the market were to say slow down and we end up writing off more than we add on to sub-roll, that could potentially cause shortfalls in property taxes to taxing districts, which is why Anita's been tracking the dollar amounts. She was gonna try to do an update for the board so that we could look at it a little bit closer, maybe before midwinter, to see if that would be something that needs brought up to the legislature. just kind of a.
Every
heads up.
county has the same problem, and so, yes, it's something.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the letters of cancellation as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, under consent agenda, we have a certificate of residency and also a salary rate approval form. And this salary rate approval form is for John Crowder.
Oh,
Do all the newly, even if they've been in office, do they need salary rate approval forms
No.
for new elected? I mean,
just, we'll only need one for Anita, just the new ones, because their other salary approval form is still valid.
okay.
Nothing has changed, so
Okay.
we don't need to reactivate anything.
I just wondered when I saw this and if we needed to move forward with others.
No, we probably should just get Anita's going though. Do you want my office to do that? And then Braden and I briefly talked about that one. And because there really is no elected official over her when she becomes elected, I think we came to the agreement, if Brian agrees, just to have the commission sign the back. And then, I don't know if we need anybody to sign as the elected official on the front.
For the elected official.
Yeah, because there's nobody higher than her, or will be. So, we'll just,
Yeah, ultimately, it's up to the commission anyway. So
but we usually don't allow employees to sign their own, or even elected officials to
Yeah,
sign their own.
just
so-
submit them just like this.
Okay.
It's just a formality.
So, Mr.
I'll get
Chair,
that done.
I make a motion that we approve the salary approval forms and the certificate of residency as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. With that being said, we'll be at recess until 11 o'clock.